Hello again, everybody. This is Mean Gene in the control center. Just kidding. Rick, welcome to episode number 31 of Podfluxxx. And there's not so much cooking in the world of professional wrestling this week, but we've got a few things we want to talk about. We got some topics here that we're gonna go through. I even might have a surprise topic for you later. But what I want to start with is the Santos Escobar. Actually, hold on. How are you?
Good. It's cold
Good.
here.
Cold?
Yeah.
What?
It was
75?
59 today.
What was that?
It was 59 today.
Oh my God. They must have been running for the hills in Texas.
Yeah. Go to the gym at night and no one's there. They're like hell no, it's colder at night.
It was, I think, 30 something degrees when I walked out of my house this morning.
Yeah, that's why I don't live there anymore.
And I was like, no. And then I get home, 14 hours later, because sometimes it bees like that.
Damn.
And it's just like you're annoyed because of work.
Right.
You're tired because of work. You've got 3 hours of freedom because of work.
Mm.
And then you get to get up the next day and go to work.
Go back to
because
work.
of work. Right. So that was exciting. But hey, I had authentic Mexican food for dinner tonight.
Ooh, there you go.
Yep. I was thinking about you.
Mm.
Yep.
What? The lawn needs to be done too, or what?
No, well, it was just Rachel she was just like, man, we haven't had, from this place in a while. And I was like, yeah.
What was it? Is it that didn't you have a good place right up the street?
Yep.
Is that from there?
Yeah, we haven't gone
Oh,
through
okay.
in a while, so we went over.
I was gonna say did we ever hit that or no?
Uh
I don't think we did, to be honest with you, because I every night when we would get back to your place, it was too late, I think.
yeah, but I think that one weekend when Becky was in town with Reyes, the girls ate it while we were
You know what?
out
You're
being
right.
stupid.
Yeah. I was thinking about that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said that place is real good though, right?
It's fantastic.
Yeah, that's good.
But like a burrito bowl, and a
Yeah.
thing of nachos just, took $50 out of my pocket.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Totally worth it. But
Yeah.
anyway, speaking of Mexican food, am I allowed to do that? Is that a terrible segue or?
I'm half Mexican, so I'm gonna say yeah.
All right, see, I got the hood
Yeah,
pass right there. I got the
we're
green
we're
card.
not talking about
Got the
Mexicools.
green card.
Yeah, we're not talking about Mexicools right now. It is
No,
LWO though, right? Or
right.
are they
And when,
still?
well, so apparently some of them are, but
Just some
when
of them
you're LWO, you're LWO for life.
for life. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure there's a way to say that in Spanish. Neither one of us know it.
not at all.
Um, so they did the long awaited, overdue
Right.
Santos Escobar heel turn on Rey, and it was bad. Did you see anything of it?
So I saw clips of him like in Ray's face, I guess, like talking trash.
Yeah, well, like what had happened was I guess Carlito was getting beat up by Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. And Escobar was like not trying to help him, and then they bailed and Ray came out and Ray was like, "What the fuck, man? Why didn't you help?" He was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Ray." And then Ray gave him some shit, went to check on Carlito, and then he just glommed him in the back. But like, first of all, if you were gonna do it a week later, in hindsight, like you really could have had Escobar fuck Ray at the pay-per-view to lose to Logan Paul. You know what I mean? And you could have started your angle or your story there and made
Yeah.
it mean something instead of like the corny, cheesy way he accidentally gave the brass knuckles to the heels.
Yes.
But now without without the United States title, not the New York State title, the United States title, uh, does this feud really mean anything for anybody? Because this was all originally based around that belt.
Well, yeah, obviously not as much, because it should have been him turning and causing Ray to lose the title more so than just like a cheap attack. I mean, isn't that just wrestling 101 here? Like,
yeah,
a week prior, he was champion and lost at the pay-per-view, and it kind of looked like Escobar set it up for him to get, glommed with the Nux, but not really. Like, is that like
it there proper and get the heat?
That's what I mean. Like, he like half-assed did it, to where everyone could scratch their heads and watch. Like, why would you do that? Like, that's the stupidest thing. Yeah, I totally would have did it that way. Or if they had to do it, maybe Logan Paul needed that win without Escobar's help in their eyes, because they could be weird like that. Then I would have done, hey, like this week, like the way they set it up, Ray getting in Escobar's face, just kind of riding them, checking on Carlito, maybe both of them kind of getting up, leaving, and then Escobar just not moving, and let the camera just watch him. And as he like slowly like kind of gets a little bit more and more angry, we fade off that instead of glomming him and attacking him, right? And then maybe
down, like he was on the ground checking on Carlito, so there was like no impact or anything. You know what I mean? It was flat.
Yeah, maybe. And then maybe the next week we do it somehow in a match, or now it's a 6-man, right? So now we're all tuning in to see, okay, last week Escobar was pissed. Now they're teaming up.
Right.
So now here comes, you kind of want to set it up to where it's almost like they're ready for it. Now here comes, so now they're working Bobby and Street Profits against them three. And then do the classic Ray take the heat. Mm-hmm. Carlito's down selling. Escobar could just leave, or he could do something. He could get the tag and then turn around and just start putting the boots to Ray. I don't know. There's multiple different ways of doing it. However, I would have set it up in a tag. So like you said, there was some impact to it. If Lito's down and selling this way, Lashley and Street Profits look like even bigger assholes when they walk away from Ray, like, fuck him. Like, and then they just single file, just walk right past the ass whipping. There's nothing more dickish than that, right?
Right.
And it may be
like, point. That's how they turned Drew McIntyre here.
Heel. Yeah, like point and laugh, like look at this idiot, like, and then kick Lito on the floor, and just kind of like fuck the match. We got bigger business to do. It makes it benefits everybody, and then it shows that Escobar is by himself now, at least for the moment, right?
Well, we also don't know. Escobar makes a heel turn. God, I wish I knew their names.
The other guys, yeah. But see, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, that's what I was like thinking of. Maybe because they've been with him since NXT, and they kind of started this whole Latin like alliance that they have, and then that it kind of morphed into LWO with what's her name with the girl, and then Ray, and then just kind of connecting. I would like to see all three of them as heels, because they call, like having the lucha suits or whatever, but have them their own faction. What they were doing in NXT, I thought worked perfect for those guys,
Right.
Yeah, I worked with Escobar and Lucha Underground, Phantasma. Right. But yeah, he's good. He's a good worker, he's a good luchador too, but he knows the American style, like heel American style,
He looks like he's
yeah,
a
I
good
think
size. I mean, I always see him
yeah,
standing next to Ray, but he looks like he's
no,
a
but
good size.
he's a taller dude, and he's always in good shape. So he's only going to get bigger and better. But this will be great for him. I would like to see the other two guys stick with him and form that faction now on Raw that would be or SmackDown, whatever they're on, and that'll be good for all of them.
Since we're kind of talking about SmackDown a little bit, what do you think this since we were talking about them specifically, Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits, what do you think the end goal is here? Because I feel like they've just kind of been like standing next to each other but doing nothing for almost months now. And I feel like on TV they haven't really put their finger on, like what this group is or tried to tell us what this group is.
Yeah, they just need that like a moment for them. They're on SmackDown, right?
Yeah.
Uh, I'm almost thinking like Lashley needs to be more, like I mean I know he's the centerpiece, but um, like where are we going with it? Like you're saying, like is Lashley supposed to be contending for the world title or
Right.
something? If so, like when? Because Roman is such a big heel, it doesn't make sense for them two to wrestle. So does Lashley screw over LA Knight and they go at it
Mm,
until the Rumble? Maybe Knight gets a big win on Lashley, but then they get the big beat down at the end. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know what they're doing. And if they're not really doing anything, hopefully they're getting them ready to do something. Uh,
right.
so, yeah, I don't really
It's
pay
it's
attention to. I know that the idea of them was talked about, and then it took a little while, right, for them to link up, I guess. Like,
right.
so it has to be for something big. Like, it can't just be, oh, another mid card heel faction. It really does, like Street Profits need to win the belts at some time, at some point, and then does Lashley take what's on SmackDown, the U.S. title, I guess,
Yeah.
right? So how does that work with Logan?
Right.
It's like, and that's going to be a really bad Styles clash. Uh, not a phenomenal one, but a bad like
Yeah.
jump and flip, and like Lashley's like the immovable object.
Yeah.
So
Who leads that one?
I mean, I'm sure Lashley's going to be like, we need to do this, but Logan's also going to be like, oh
Yeah.
man, I'm going to do this, and this, and then
Yeah.
I'm going to shit on all your heat. And that doesn't make any sense either because Lashley's gimmick is what he is a power and he's legit. So that doesn't work either. So I think you got to get that belt off Logan first, right? And put it on some
Yeah.
baby face.
But he's got to have at least two defenses first.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's got to go through Rumble, I would imagine. Does he drop it in Australia and then it sets up a big money match at Mania? I mean, uh, right? Because that's Elimination Chamber in February, I guess.
Right.
So he'd let him get through. He's got to get through Rumble with it, and then, but there has to be. I mean, I would pencil Lashley in on that particular picture for Mania.
I find it also I find it awkward that Bobby Lashley is like so concerned with a tag team rather than like his own, like as a heel,
Right.
like his own selfish, you know, uh
Yeah.
like he's trying to like help these guys out or whatever the fuck, but like I feel like would normally be motivated by them doing for him, you know what I
Right.
mean? And
Yes.
so it's for it to like not be self-serving, like it feels weird. It's a weird
And
thing.
and realistically, if you've been watching WWE for the past couple of years off and on, this is just a cheap knockoff of what was working, and they dismantled off Raw, right?
Right. The
With
Hurt Business.
yeah, it's just like now it's Hurt Business 2.0. It's on. I mean, why not just bring back? You should have just never got rid of the Hurt Business because it had legs,
Right.
and it never reached its full potential, anyways. I mean, seriously, like I feel like with the Hurt Business, the more I kept up with those guys, I was, started to kind of like, yeah, like this. It all makes sense to me what these guys are all doing
Mm-hmm.
and why they're doing it and how they're doing it, and then it just seemed to just end, right? Like
Right.
with, and then didn't a couple times they try to make like poor Cedric Alexander act like, hey man, like
Yeah,
like
like groveling, like let me,
yeah,
the
can
kid
I be
you
back
locked
in the
out of the clubhouse. Let me back
yeah, can I come
in.
in? Yeah, I've got crayons. Can I come in?
Yeah.
And it just like it hurt him to, it was just bad all the way around. And let's face it, I feel like that was one of those groups that just caught on because it was so good.
It
I mean, in
was.
my opinion, all the right pieces, and then you went
Especially
through.
MVP.
That's what I'm saying. You went through MVP and hoped he would have that same magic with Almost, and that's not going to happen. I'm sure he's hating that. I mean, he's on Almost duty, so
Yeah.
that sucks.
And which is like now it's he's vanished.
Yeah.
They both completely vanished off TV.
Well, what they're doing with, I would imagine, is trying to treat him like an attraction. Like he'll just kind of pop in here and there, but that
Yeah.
doesn't have no value. Not anymore.
No.
He has no value. So it's, you know,
It's too like if they would have put him on TV and he would have eaten a motherfucker.
yeah.
Kept him off a couple weeks, put him on, eating a motherfucker.
Mhm.
But like you put him on, you used him. They used him as Shane McMahon's personal security first, and then he tagged with AJ. But
Yeah.
then you saw him. It was the same thing with Braun Strowman. You saw him get beat. You saw him bumped around. They treated him like just another one of the boys.
Yeah.
And then it's like, all right, let's hold him off. We're gonna make an attraction out of him. Well, it's too late.
Yeah.
You've
You're supposed to do
we've
that
seen it.
first. You're
Right.
supposed to do that first. Right.
And it's
And,
crazy.
and then give them 1 or 2 years of dominance as an attraction,
Hmm.
and then the next few years, then the tag, then he gets beat, and
Right.
then it's like, thanks for coming, you know, see you around.
I mean, I'm sure like you can figure out a way to not put that guy's shoulders on the mat
Right.
for 3 years.
Right. Easy.
You know what I mean?
Easy. Yeah.
It's silly stuff. But we're gonna get down to some business now.
Oh boy.
NXT is returning to broadcast television on the CW network. You get the CW down there in Texas?
Uh Probably. I mean, we just stream everything now, so we don't have like cable or anything, but I think so.
Yeah. Well, according to Variety, I got a report from Variety because when I first heard like on the wrestling space
Right.
about the deal, I got no specifics. Right? It was just like October 2024, they're moving to CW.
Oh.
So I looked around a little bit and I found an article from Variety, which is a pretty reputable you know magazine or whatever website, and they said that a source close to the WWE pegged the deal to be a 5-year deal around $20 to $25 million a year
20 to 25 million a year?
for 5 years.
Really?
Yeah. So that's a hundred. If it's
So
20, then it's 100. If it's
right.
5, it's $125 million television deal for their developmental.
For the C League.
Yeah. For the guys, like, for the thing that started at the Florida Loop.
Yeah,
And
right.
just put it on the network because we can.
It's so it shouldn't amaze me, but it amazes me how powerful WWE is when they want to be, right? Like, let me just remind you how awesome we are, and then
Now,
push the button.
I think it's hysterical that everybody was like, the NWA is going to CW.
Yeah, I don't know
And
much on
then,
that.
did you see the controversy with their?
Yeah, I
Okay,
saw.
so they do a pay-per-view that literally nobody watched.
Of
Okay,
course.
all right. I'm gonna even do Trump hands. Nobody
Yeah, right.
watched this pay-per-view.
Right.
Okay,
Of course not.
and they do a spot on that with what's his name, Reverend James, the Sinister Minister,
James. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Mitchell.
Mitchell. Yes. Fuck.
Mitchell. Um, where like he's standing at a table
Yeah.
blowing lines of cocaine. Okay. And then a few days later, they announced the NXT CW deal. And immediately, I don't know if it was Meltzer, but it was the people of the Meltzer ilk
Right.
going, oh, the cocaine spot on the pay-per-view blew the deal with the CW. Yes, the cocaine spot on the pay-per-view that CW didn't know existed blew the spot for the deal that they were going to do with NWA, and they miraculously, within 12 hours, worked something out with the WWE.
Mm.
Do people think,
Yeah.
like,
I don't know.
I don't know, but I remember when we talked about SmackDown coming off of Fox,
Yeah.
and I was like, McMahon be damned if he's not going to have a product on broadcast television now
Right.
that he's had it. Well, here we go. He got something back, but I still find it very curious that we have not heard anything yet about the Monday Night Raw TV deal.
I think I read earlier today a possible FX.
Really?
But that was like one news site was saying Raw moving to FX 2024. Which I guess maybe.
FX. They were on Spike. Well, they were on TNN. Okay, so they were never on FX, right? Do you
No, but
remember the 5 minutes when after TNN was TNN, it was Man TV, and then it was Spike?
yes.
I was just getting a little confused there, wondering if Man TV was FX first. But I think,
No, isn't it a Fox?
yeah, that's a Fox property.
Yeah, so I guess that would make sense. They get
Right.
rid of SmackDown, and then when they couldn't have it on Fox, right? It was usually on FX.
Or
Um,
FS1, Fox
oh,
Sports 1.
okay. Yeah, I mean, it's a possibility. I don't know. Like, again, like I'm never worried or ever think like, oh, gee, I hope something works out because it
Yeah.
always does for it.
Yeah.
And now when you
They're
think
not going to have
about,
any place for Raw.
yeah,
Yeah, right.
when you think about it, they're even more powerful now than they've ever been as a product
Mm-hmm.
to the TV networks. So I feel like their big deal with Fox that was like their huge moneymaker is Raw going to be the next, will Raw take that back over on will it still be 3 hours? That's my biggest thing is like, is Raw still going to be 3 hours? Like wherever it goes. Cause 3 hours is a long show. I know that I remember listening to JBL like on a podcast one time explaining how much money that third hour is with advertisement and stuff like that they would never give up an hour because the
Right.
fans think that Raw will be better 2 hours. Like the millions of dollars that they get doesn't make any sense. So, I mean, I guess if FX needs, that, what is it, like 2 million maybe
Yeah,
on
around.
Monday night. I mean, I could see them saying, "Fuck it, let's just take it."
Oh, I don't think there's really anything else on that network
Yeah,
drawing
right.
people to FX. I couldn't tell you one show that's on FX.
Yeah, I
So,
barely hear of it. Only
except for
when
I think they have the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia replays.
hmm, that's what I mean. It's like one of those types of channels. So
Yeah.
this will be live every week, which is intriguing to uh, advertisers and stuff, right? And so I don't know.
You know for a fact that if Raw went back to 2 hours, there would be one wrestling match on Monday nights a week.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not going to change the format of all the talking that happens
No.
Monday Night Talk. So it is what it is,
Monday night.
Yeah,
But anyway, I digress. All right. Uh you want to switch gears to the land of the illogic?
the uh, all right.
All right. Let's go with let's break down the full gear card, and then we'll get into a little stake with the last topic. I saved it somewhere. Okay. First, I want to update you on the tickets. Okay, so and I lost it. So okay. So on the last update that I've seen, they have now distributed 10,068 tickets for full gear. And they're set up for a little more, like a legit little more than 11,000. That's a big building.
I was gonna say, so they have 8,000 seats for the locker room.
Yes.
Good.
Apparently, the
They
first
catered.
time Dynamite was there, they did 14,000.
Yeah, I remember it doing exceptionally well the first time, and I thought, man, maybe this, because of the Bucks being from California, and at the time I remember they had advertised Kazarian and Daniels. All those guys are California guys.
Right.
I thought, man, if I guess if they did it right and promoted the right guys, they could do well here. But they're now what, 4,000 less than their last time. So, and this is a pay per view, which is annoying to me.
Ooh, would you like to hear the alleged card at this point?
Yeah, let's hear what 10,000 people are gonna watch.
So they got MJF and apparently the possibility of a mystery partner versus the Guns for the ROH titles on the pre-show.
Well, all right, just go, because now I'm pissed. So go ahead.
You got Hikaru Shida and Tony Storm for the world title, the women's
Okay.
world title. Which, if they switch it back now, then what was the point of switching it 3 weeks ago when you could have just had Saraya versus Tony Storm?
That's my whole thing, is like, why didn't Soraya keep the belt to get it back to Tony
Right.
in the
When
first
that's the
place?
match that everybody wants to see,
Yes.
quote unquote, everybody wants to see anyway.
Because if you needed Hikaru Shida to be a contender or in a top position, she could have Soraya could have been feuding with her up until this point, and then Tony waiting in the wings, and then had like a big blow off match. Tony Storm wrestles the winner of this match, and then high profile TV match, and then you still get Sheeta looking good, but barely losing, elevating Saraya, and then going into Tony's title match.
Right.
This way, Saraya is there more. Like after she won the belt, she hasn't been seen, right?
Nope. She
For
was
the
on
most
TV
part.
once.
That
And
I
I'm pretty
don't,
sure it was one time and they beat her.
bro. Think about this. Think about somebody paying you 6 figures to show up to the biggest event you'll ever wrestle in, win, right?
Right.
Lose the belt, and then go on vacation immediately after, like within a 3-week span, and you're still getting paid all this money. It's like it blows my mind how much money these guys are making when they come and go almost quarterly. Like, are they looking at the books and they're like, oh shit, you know who we're paying still? Get her ass down here, have her win the belt, and then she can go back to her yacht and vacationing. Like, I don't. Where are they
Not
making
even
their money
that.
back?
It's everybody.
But that's what I'm saying.
It's AEW. It's like a birthday party because every
It
time you
is.
go to wrestle in your hometown, you get to win a belt.
And
Everybody
take
wins a
pictures
belt.
with, and then do they take pictures with Vinny afterwards?
Yes, they take pictures, dude. Sidebar here. Saturday night we had a VPW show, and I'm standing around and I'm talking to, his name is Phil Cardigan now, but you might remember him as Grammar Cop. Okay,
Phil
and
Cardigan.
yeah, it's pretty good.
Are we real quick? Are we responsible for him having brain damage and doing this stupid shit?
Kai is.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Kai is directly.
We messed up the cat.
Yeah, we messed the cat up.
Okay, all right. Carry on.
We didn't mess up the Grammar Cop. That was Kai. Because Kai, I think he's gotten like 3 concussions at the hands of Kai Katana.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
And then he's gotten another one. He went to drop kick somebody who was on the apron, or like an insecurity or something, and didn't think about where he was gonna land, and he just landed on his face on the floor outside the ring. All right, and just broke his brain. But anyway, we're standing around and we're looking at just a bunch of people who are all nice kids and stuff. I'm not familiar with all the new guys yet.
Right. Of course you're not.
Right. And
you're booking it, but yeah.
We get to talking, and he was like, "Oh man, how's Ricky?" And I was like, "Oh, Ricky's good. I talk to him every week. We do this, fun little podcast deal." And he was like, "Oh man, do you guys ever talk about old VPW stuff?" And I was like, "No, not really." And he was like, I was like, every once in a while, like a random story will come up, but we don't like get into, crazy detail because then there's only like 11 people who would be interested. And then he's like, "Yo, you got to see this Instagram post." And so he pulls up this post on Instagram that was when we had him doing the fake Eric thing.
Yes.
Okay. And he's like,
I remember that.
You got to read what Ricky wrote. And
Wait. That I remember that because remember we told him in the back he's got to spin a lot.
Yeah, just keep
remember
spinning.
I'm in the ring and he's spinning and I go, keep going, keep going, keep going, and he's like slowing down. I said, nope, I need more.
So he pulls up the post and then he shows me your comment, and your comment is like, "No one likes you or ever did," right?
Yes.
And you were like, and then he wrote something like, "Oh, I don't know if you know it, but like I do this gimmick now." And you were like, "I didn't, and I don't care." Oh God, I was dying. I was like, yeah. I was like, if you would have seen some of the shit that OG Ricky Reyes wrote on my Facebook in 2012, your mind would be broken.
Yeah.
More. And then we talked about the diner story.
Which one?
Where I was sitting next to you, and JD was sitting next to me, and then Razzle was on the other side. And then across the table, somebody's like, yeah, and then your boy Razzle. And you were like, that's not my fucking boy. And then I was like, yo, Rick, he's right there. And you literally went like this and looked down the table at him and went, I don't fucking care.
I remember that.
And then JD started doing that. You know the laugh JD does when he's just dying because he's the shittiest person on the planet?
He really is, yes.
Oh, God.
That's my favorite laugh ever.
Yep. Oh, man. Anyway.
All right.
Yeah, back to this card.
Yeah, back to bad wrestling.
Yeah. Well, we've got Sting and Darby Allin and the rated R superstar Adam Copeland versus Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, and the household name of Nick Wayne.
Jesus Christ.
Now, I don't want to be mean or hard on anybody, but has there ever been a person who's like, this is going to sound so bad, less deserving to be in the ring with Sting and Edge than Nick Wayne?
Right.
And
now, I know what you're saying, like the meaning behind what you're saying. It just sounds bad when you're saying it. But here's the thing. I'm all for, and sports leagues do this all the time. You know, they invest in what they believe is going to be the future, this, that, and the other. The problem is this kid doesn't know his ass from his elbow yet. He does, he kind of got a little hype on the indies for doing the crazy shit on the bad indies that want that, like the GCWs, the world and stuff like that. It's not like he got to, let's just say, even MLW and was having, tear the house down style matches with TJP or Austin Aries, guys like that, where you're like, yo, this guy can keep up with the legit guys. He just went and did random flips off of shit. And then, and like who there is thinking, yeah, this is our future. Let's invest that. Because what you're doing by putting him in the ring and rubbing shoulders with those guys is investing a lot from a fan's perspective in him. You're kind of forcing your fans to say, look, he's on that level, and clearly is not. I would have, so let's say I had to sign him. I would have signed him for a very low contract for, let's say, 5 years. And each year would increase a slight amount. So let's say the first year is 75,000. Then the next year is 90,000, and each year for the 5 years is going to increase. But I would allow him, and I would have somebody in charge of monitoring his indie bookings and who and where and stuff like that, and make sure that he's still getting reps on independence while using him during the week in smaller spots, or like they would do when, basically like what they would do with OVW guys. Like I wrestled Carlito on his first week on the road in a dark match, on a Monday night. We worked on Raw on a dark match, and he was telling me like, oh, I got to get to the airport. I got to go shoot promos for Louisville. And then we got TV Wednesday, and they were doing that with him for like 2 or 3 months, and then he was still doing his commitments to OVW, even on the house shows, so he was complaining on how beat up and tired he was, but with the extra flying Monday and Tuesday for Raw and SmackDown. And that's a guy that came from a territory, like he worked for his dad in Puerto Rico.
The last real territory.
I was going to say, where they're doing let's say 2 or 3 house shows and TV. So he kind of had the gist of it already, and they're still grinding him out, with no mainstream, exposure, right? I mean, Louisville and then Darks. He wasn't even on Heat or whatever at the time. It was just like nothing that was going to be seen. And then the vignette started, right? And then when he popped, it was like, oh shit, this guy's instantly over, and look how good he is. So I would do something like that with this guy. Right. I don't know him, and hey, I'm sure he's just obviously a kid in a candy store, clearly, on all levels. And as a wrestler, right, we're happy that the guys are making money. It's just there's a right way and a wrong way to do it, and I know this isn't the era anymore of someone's going to get a hold of him and twist him up real good in the ring. But let's say he came in 10, 15 years prior and he's booked against Low-Ki at House of Glory, or him and his best friend against Homicide and Low-Ki, or for no reason, the Havana Pitbulls come do a run in. Yeah. Like on him, shit could get ugly fast for no reason, and no one would have said a damn thing about it with any one of those guys involved, and it's just like everyone's just accepting that this kid should be in this position, and he shouldn't, because he's looking at it like, yeah, wrestling's easy. Look at, I turned 18 and I'm in AEW and I'm wrestling Sting in the Great Western Forum my first year. What? No.
You hear so many guys who got their push young.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of them will say, man, it was too much too soon.
Too fast. Yep.
Like, look at Teddy Hart.
Yeah.
Right. Or the, what the fuck was the guy in the La Resistance? He was
Rene Dupree.
He was 19.
Yep. Crazy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like if you hear any of the stories of like the first 2 or 3 years of Randy Orton's existence in WWE, like they
and I roomed with Rene Dupree one time, and I was asking him all kinds of stuff, but he said the exact same thing, and him and I had met in Pennsylvania when I was doing Darks in like 2006 or something, and that was when he was heavy into drugs and everything. So not that I expected him to remember me, but I was explaining to him our interaction and stuff, and he was like, hey, I'm sorry, man. And it wasn't anything bad, it's just he was so fucked up, like he doesn't, but that was his exact words. He goes, they just looked at me and they were like, here's the future. He goes, and it was just like too much too fast. He goes, I didn't know what I was doing. And he goes, and they were all fucking with me and I didn't know how to deal with that, and that's the problem, is like, I'm sure it's clearly not that anymore, the locker room, especially in AEW. Right. It's supposed to be everyone's best friend, and everyone's match is the best match to the next one. And I guess, I mean, in the long run, that's great, right? Because these guys won't be head cases, and have to go through rehab, maybe, I don't know.
Right.
But
except for when they're all egomaniacs because they get to wrestle Sting when they're 18 years old.
Yeah, but I mean, but who's really telling this guy, hey man, you just need to shut the fuck up and go where they tell you to go and don't say a fucking word?
Well, hopefully it's Christian.
Yeah, but I mean, realistically, I mean, they're gonna say, oh yeah, you gotta shine up too. Like, dude, you should be the 5th ring post out there, to be honest with you, at best, I mean, honestly, you should be in the 5th row with a stale bag of popcorn watching, but
right.
But somebody knows somebody who likes them, so whatever. Yeah. That's their problem now.
If there was ever a case of mouth shut, ears open, that
would be it.
Yeah. Well, our next contest will be for the AEW International Championship, where we get Orange Cassidy versus Jon Moxley.
Oh, really? So this is the match of who's supposed to be the champion right now.
Yeah.
You think that was the original plan? Just the belt on the other side? Because remember, Orange Cassidy took some time off.
Yeah.
You think maybe it was supposed to be Mox is on a tear, and then all of a sudden, oh my gosh, the guy with his hands in his pockets is back. I'll see you in LA, Moxley. I don't know.
Yeah, especially because the way they were doing it, like Moxley annihilated him.
Right. And then he was going to go away.
Right.
To come back.
Right.
I don't know. I'm just thinking like if Cassidy wins, then it was. Right?
I've been thinking a lot still about this Moxley Phoenix thing. Right? Like, why not do something to get yourself intentionally disqualified to get out of the match instead of going with a title change?
Yeah.
Right. Hey man, you dropped me on my head. I'm fucked up. Punch the referee in the mouth.
Right. Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or crawling around and just give him a blatant nut shots and tell Rick Knox, ring the bell.
Yeah. Yep. I'm gonna punch you in the nuts, ring the bell.
Right. Yeah.
Like when Pac broke his ankle with Jericho.
Yeah.
Remember? And Jericho just turned around and decked Charles Robinson.
I remember that. Yeah.
Ding ding ding.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's still stupid.
It is. It's because here's the thing. It's not like AEW suffering from lack of championship belts on their TV. Right. If Moxley keeps the belt and is gone for 2 weeks due to concussions or a month, that's one of 97 belts that's missing that week. I'm positive.
And it's just promos you can just do.
And I'm positive it wouldn't be like, oh my God, where's the All Atlantic champion? Because that's what I'm here for.
Oh, there is this guy once, right? And he got dropped on his head, and he won the Intercontinental title with the worst roll-up I've ever seen in my life. Okay?
In New Jersey somewhere, I heard of this.
Right. And then his neck was broken.
Right.
But instead of just switching the title or making an interim title for no good goddamn reason, he just, cut promos for 6 months. And he got over huge, and then he sold a ton of t-shirts. What was his name?
I don't know. Nobody knows.
No, it wasn't Jon Moxley. That's for goddamn sure. The next match is Adam Page and Swerve Strickland. And
that'll be a good match.
From what I've seen of the physicality in this feud, I'm enjoying it.
I think that'll be a really good match. Swerve is that next guy.
Yes.
And what I love the most about that is you can tell when he came in, there was like, oh, cool, another spot guy. And he was like, nah, I'm going to main event this bitch. And this is my company. Like, he just went and took everything possible to make him get to that next level and kept shoving it down their throats. His work is good. He can do the spot stuff. He knows what his character is, so he's comfortable doing it. So the believability of no matter how outlandish he's acting with the character, we're all buying into it because we're like, I could see Swerve doing this. Like they say, wrestle how you look and look how you wrestle type thing. He's evolved into that, like his stint in SmackDown, although it was short, but his NXT run was him just really fine tuning all that stuff. And unfortunately for him, this is of those guys that got cut. This was the one that got away.
Right.
In a big time, because next year could be his. Period. I mean,
He, like like you were saying, you believe his character.
yeah, yeah.
The investment you make in him, that anybody makes in his character, he will draw money.
Yep, absolutely.
That's a guy that people are going to give you money to see.
And see, here's the thing too, is what I really enjoy about it is I'm not a big fan, as we both know, of the tweener situation, but I think he plays both sides. His
Perfect.
character's believable. Like, he doesn't have to be a definitive, left or right. We can just basically go off who you're working against, right? Like, I would like to see Swerve and Wardlow. That could be an amazing match, something we've never seen, before. We're not tired of it. And with the character stuff, it could just be all Swerve pissing off Wardlow, the whole time. I don't need Wardlow to, recite any lines to me. I need Wardlow to whoop that ass and flex. That's it.
Yep.
And
Pull down
Swerve
the
can
and power bomb a motherfucker.
yeah, and Swerve can bring that out of him because Swerve could channel like a Floyd Mayweather attitude, and we could all be like, yeah, he's a real fucking shithead,
Yeah.
but he can go just like Floyd. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna pay money to see this match because I'm believing both guys are gonna go out there and kill it. And then you can throw him in there with Paige. Swerve, and it'll be a good match. Like, it'll be the best match of the night, I'm sure.
Well,
Or at least
we got three more.
at
Four more.
At least one of them, if not the sleeper,
Yeah.
the sleeper match of the show, because it's not for a title or whatever, but it should be a coming out party for Swerve if I was booking it.
Well, the next match is the one that's going to be the sleeper for me. But I'm going to just sleep through it. The Young Bucks, the mighty Young Bucks versus Jericho and Omega. Where's your interest level on this one?
What?
Yeah.
The Young Bucks against Jericho and Omega?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
All the friends are mad at each other again.
Oh, we're not friends now.
No.
Okay. Yeah, I don't. None of that makes me want to. Yeah.
Yeah, forehead. No, the smaller one. Matt Jackson.
Okay.
Threw a temper tantrum of some sorts after losing a match, and then he was mad at Omega because Omega's being friends with Jericho. And again, this is a classic AEW problem.
Yes.
You're not allowed to have more than 3 friends.
Right. You're at your friend limit.
Yeah. Because
okay.
Outside of Matt and Nick and Adam Page, that's 3.
Yeah.
You can't add Jericho.
No.
Sometimes you can have Kota Ibushi, but that's only if you're Japan adjacent.
It's your international friend.
Right.
Okay.
It's like the girlfriend in Canada.
Yeah.
Right, but you can only call her at 9 o'clock because of free nights and weekends.
Yep. Been there.
Haven't we all? The next match for the TBS Championship. And what I'm reading says Chris Statlander versus Julia Hart versus Red Velvet or Sky Blue. So basically, whatever color shows up,
right?
Crayon,
mm-hmm.
is the one that's going to be in the match.
Okay.
There's a good match in there somewhere, but it's a one-on-one match.
I was gonna say, yeah. There's an extra color. There's an extra. Yeah, there's an extra color, or there's an extra human altogether that shouldn't be.
Right. And then Big Bill and Ricky Starks versus La Facción Ingobernable, which will be Rush and Dralistico, versus the Kings of the Black Throne, Brody King and Malachi Black, versus FTR. Do you think FTR stands at their calendar every day and it's just like X, and then like 3 or 4 pages later, there's a big red circle around a certain day, and
there has to be
X in their way to it. X.
Yeah, this. All right.
And last but not least, because MJF has to finish the show now.
Oh, that's right. Jesus, how long is this fucking show gonna be?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 matches.
What the fuck?
This is gonna be like a 4.5-hour ordeal.
Absolutely, at least. What?
But at the end of the night, if anybody still cares,
yeah, right.
There's gonna be MJF versus Jay White. But don't worry, because MJF will get his super big pop in the beginning of the night when nobody's watching it on television.
Yeah, that none of this makes any sense. They should have built up Kenny and MJF for this show.
Mm-hmm.
And in the background, lurking should be Jay White, somehow giving him rights to a title match in the future. Maybe he catches MJF with a small package in a tag and says he's coming for him. I don't know. Because I was even with the quick build or lack thereof to MJF and Omega, I thought you wasted it on a random Saturday night show. You could have put that in LA as the main event. And I think people would have actually been really interested, because then you're knowing Omega's in it, you know that there's a possibility he could get the belt back. Because by that time,
Jay White's the next guy.
But yeah, by that time, MJF we would have already known that he would have beaten him, beaten his record, which was fine. But it could have been like, okay, well, Omega's looking to become the second person to be 2-time world champion or whatever,
Right.
And that would be believable because MJF has held it for a while. So I don't know. It's stupid. You could have had, because then you could have had MJF popping in on both Omega and MJ, or Jay White popping in on MJF and Omega throughout weeks coming up, because he doesn't know he's going to work, and Jay White,
there's history there with Omega, which makes that outcome of the title match less predictable.
Right.
Because you've got a story either way.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, you also build Jay White this whole time, so he's strong. And then when MJF does beat him early next year, it's that much more, Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's just fucking.
I know. I always say it, but it's the same as how they built the Miz in the background in a feud with John Cena that John Cena wasn't even taking part in.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just covering bases. But I will tell you who is not on this card. And that is the former King of TV, Samoa Joe. Ricky,
who was born and raised in Huntington Beach, around the corner from the Forum, but who's counting?
right? He should have told Tony. He could have went. It could have been his birthday party. He could have been the world champion, or at the very least, the international champion.
For sure,
But,
yeah.
But I didn't see this. But according to a reputable source named Ricky Reyes, they made Samoa Joe give up the ROH TV title.
Yeah, so I think it was, it would have to have been Wednesday or Collision. I don't know. Anyways, on a day that ended in Y,
Mm-hmm.
Joe beat Keith Lee, choked him unconscious. Thanks for showing up, Keith.
How quickly?
Yeah. And then just decided he had bigger fish to fry, so he was no longer the TV champion. So somebody had posted, I guess he just beat Jay Lethal's longest reigning title run record. Remember in ROH, Jay Lethal was both
The world
TV and world.
champion and the TV champion.
Yeah, so that was when he was the longest reigning TV champion. So he finally beat that record, and then he just relinquished the belt, which only shows to me that nobody in the booking office knows how to get the belt off Joe and let Joe still keep his heat, which is a pretty easy fix. Slip on a banana peel, 1, 2, 3. Joe loses his shit, chokes out the wrestler. Referees come in. Joe, knocks a couple referees around. I don't know. Was he even on Ring of Honor ever, Joe? Right. A, nobody watches Ring of Honor. And then B, when I did see him, he was the Ring of Honor TV champion on AEW. So none of this stuff ever makes sense.
But lost almost every match that wasn't for the Ring of Honor TV title.
Yes. So I don't know. I just thought it was stupid. Joe tried to make obviously as much sense of the situation in his promo. And people, again, like, I remember Rocky Romero doing an interview about Shinsuke Nakamura leaving New Japan to go to WWE. And I remember him saying that he was going to do well because even though he can't do a good promo in English, when he does talk, he believes it. So therefore you'll believe it. And so basically just touching on the believability that Shinsuke would bring to New Japan, right? Or to WWE, is very similar to Samoa Joe, where he's trying to make it make sense, but it doesn't really. Good. Huh?
He's trying to make it taste good.
Yeah. So it like, you can tell like that he knows it doesn't make sense, but he was so fired up about moving upwards for the world title that that's what the crowd popped on, was the big finish. Like, I'm coming after the world championship, and everybody was happy. So it was just one of those situations again that I thought it's not really what you say a lot of times, it's how you say it. And whatever Joe says, because of how he's wrestled and how his character's always been, you pretty much will believe anything he tells you. Like if he grabs you and slams you against the wall, lifts you off the ground and says the sky's purple, you're like, very purple.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody has that believability anymore because everyone feels the need to like wink and nod at the camera all the time, or put themselves in predicaments that'll pop the boys in the back instead of putting asses in seats and making people care about what you're doing. I don't know. It's just, I don't even know what to say a lot of the times, because a lot of the guys that are good to great there, that are few and far, you see them trying, but for what? Like for what? Like they're the boat is sinking, right? And they're the few people with buckets in their hands throwing water out of it, I feel. Right? I mean, when you see Joe and Christian, you know, and guys like MJF in the right in the right position for MJF because he's not speaking up for himself. I don't think he is. I don't know him, but as a world champion, like doing the pre-show, doing shit like it's just, you know, this is office thinking that this is good, but it's not. Because any real egotistical world heavyweight champion like Ric Flair would say, "Yeah, I'm not going out twice.
Right.
Uh, I'm why they paid to see. You know, I'm what they paid to see, and why tarnish that? You know." So either he doesn't understand that, which I find that hard to believe, or he just doesn't have the pool that he needs to have back there. So it's just frustrating to see.
Do you think that Samoa Joe does himself a disservice by being a good soldier?
I
Because
think
I
we all
kind of
do.
feel
Yeah.
like it's the story of his career.
Yeah. I'm a victim of that as well. You know, like when I was in Ring of Honor the first time, 2004 to 2006, I didn't speak up. I didn't rock the boat. I wasn't the squeaky wheel that needed oil. Uh, I showed up in shape, ready to go 10 minutes or ready to go an hour and 10 minutes. And uh, yeah, like I learned that firsthand. And then that's when I started speaking up after the fact, right? Uh, I think Joe, well, I know Joe is one of those guys that wants, much like myself and Rocky and TJ, we want to do this for wrestling to make wrestling better.
Mm-hmm.
And again, he's just trying to, you know, he's just trying to make chicken salad out there. He's trying, you know, and he does a great job, like a Christian that's a classic worker, you know. He's
Right.
gonna make it work. He's gonna say, you know what? Much like the Owen Hart too slammy situation, I'm gonna use this and I'm gonna get it over. You
Right.
know, Christian went out there one time with the turtleneck, and now he goes out there and it's over. Um, Joe, hey, we're going to put your name in the record books as the longest reigning champion. We don't really have an out, so we're just going to go with it when it happens. And that's probably the exact situation, right?
Right.
Oh, well, you beat the record. What should you do? Just lay the belt down. You're done.
Yeah.
Tell them you're going off to bigger and better things. Uh, you know, and Joe saying, "All right, I'll get them behind me. You know, no matter what's happening, I'll get them. I'm going to get them behind me." So much like FTR, those guys, you know, they just want to go out there and like, oh man, all kinds of chicken shit tonight, you know, like, and they're just gonna make it work. And that's the downfall of guys that love pro wrestling, right? Like we'll stick around because we know we can make it work. And I mean, look at what we did, right? We had a ragtag group of wrestlers and nobody's ego was bigger than the others. What we wanted was a place to go that was respectable, that had a good fan base, so we can go out there and have fun doing wrestling right. And we didn't really care who talked about it or who didn't talk about it, because towards our highest peak in VPW, it turned into exactly what we thought it would and hoped it would. A place
Right.
where other wrestlers were asking, "Hey man, can you get me booked in VPW?" And then we were the guys being like, "Well, I don't know, we're pretty booked, you know."
Yeah.
Um, and
I'm
that's what
looking
it
for
turned.
girls.
Yeah, and that's what it turned into, because we, you know, it's like that saying where, you know, take, you know, going down this path, if it doesn't work, make your own type thing. And that's
Right.
kind of what we did, right? So when I was in other wrestling promotions, you know, that was my downfall, was I was a good soldier. So uh, you know, Joe's got pool, obviously.
Right.
I also know that Joe's definitely not that guy where he's going to be like, well, it should really be revolved around me.
Right. But I
he's
mean,
not
like,
that
is
guy.
he going to turn around and look at somebody and go, hey, this is fucking stupid? Or is he going to say, oh, I'm going to take this fucking stupid thing and I'm going to show you that I can do anything?
Yeah, that's exactly what he's going to do. Yeah, the second, because that's what we do as workers, right? Is make it good, right? Um, Matt Bourne was Doink the Clown, but made Doink the Clown awesome.
Right.
Face, and then even more awesome as heel. You know, he was like, I'm going to make this shit work. And I'm just giving a stupid example of a stupid gimmick that could have went south fast, but didn't because of the guy doing it.
Right.
That was his big break, right? So when I was in Ring of Honor, you know, and Joe was still a top guy there, coming back from TNA when they opened up that relationship, Joe went out, rarely won, but was the guy cutting the promo at the end of the night, telling the fans, we're Ring of Honor, you're Ring of Honor, you know, we're Ring of Honor, you know, this is what we love, you know. And he didn't really need to, you know, he was already wrestling Kurt Angle on pay-per-views. That wasn't his home anymore. TNA was at the time, but he wasn't going to let it die, you know.
Right.
And you know, yes. So to answer the question, yes, Joe's a victim of that because he's not going to argue it. He's just going to make it work because there's more value in him making it work than maybe bitching and arguing about it, you know.
All right. And then the last thing I wanted to bring up. Have you ever crossed paths with Sin Bodhi?
Yeah.
We had him at VPW this weekend.
Oh, that's right. I did see that. Yeah.
And uh you know, normally a guy like that comes through, right? And their
Yeah.
matches, they put on the pin drill, you know,
Right.
and the arm drag drill, and
Yeah.
they're not there to work, but they want to take their money and leave.
Yeah.
Sin Bodhi broke his ass for like 10 or 12 minutes in the ring. Like worked
Right.
really, really hard and was super cool and a
Yeah.
really nice guy.
Yeah.
And
He
I
is.
even like I went up to him and I was like, hey man, I just want to say, you know, thank you. Because most guys in your position aren't gonna
Yeah.
come here and work their
Right.
ass off for 10 minutes. And he was
Right.
like, just one of the boys, brother. But
Yeah.
it made me think like, how many guys have you come across that are like, oh, I'm just here to get paid and they're gonna have the laziest match you've ever seen? Or how many are like how Sin Bodhi was this weekend, where he came to do a random indie shot someplace he'll probably never be back and worked his ass off?
Well, you remember when I think I just first started maybe training you guys and Sean would book what's his name from the fuck. They were in WWE. They were the tag team guys with lips on their
Romeo.
trunks. Romeo. Uh, I don't know if you remember, but he came up to me. I know I brought it up in practice, but he came up to me and said it was center reach, and he was like, "Is it even worth it, bro?" Like out of the blue, and I was like, "Is what worth it? Going all the way down here for this shit?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, like I love wrestling, so anywhere I can go to wrestle." Like, and he just was shitting on the fact that he was there. You know, he goes, "They even pay you enough to get down here because it's not worth it to me, and I live in New York." And I was like, "Well, it's always worth it to me. I just make it worth it, you know." And we had like an uncomfortable like
Yeah.
moment of silence where I was like, "We're done with this conversation," and then just kind of walked away. This with you guys about don't look at a guy like that like this isn't worth it to him, so why is it worth it to me? You know,
Right.
he just looks at the business differently than what somebody that loves pro wrestling, I've always worked for what I can do for pro wrestling as opposed to the other end. What can pro wrestling do for me? He looked at it like, well, I was in the WWE. I should be rich and famous and an actor in Hollywood now. And I just looked at it like I was a good pro wrestler and I just worked to be better every night. So there's completely different ends of how you look at this, right? But I think now it's a little bit more how I looked at it, where guys do go to independence. If you're smart, you know that when the big companies cut you, you got to have somewhere to go back to. So if you do your job right, you'll have at least the open door policy of like, hey, we could work it out again. Let's do it.
Right.
And a lot of times I try to explain to people, like in seminars and stuff that I would do, was always every night's WrestleMania, on the independents, because you want to build that relationship where you can come back, or you want that type of reputation when you leave.
Right.
Hey, if you had the money to bring him back, or an opportunity arose where like, oh shit, he's in town for a big event, he's signing, we got a show that night, let's get him, right? As opposed to somebody else with the opposite attitude of like, can I sell my gimmicks? Can I get out there and do this? Can I get out there and do that? Even if you're putting him in an easy tag and paying him a little bit less, he'd probably still take the comeback and still shine the guy up and still catch him on all the dives. And you're like, fuck, dude, like, I'm trying to help you out here. Don't do so much work. Like, let the other guys do it. But he's not that type of guy.
Right.
And I think we're kind of the same generation, him and I, where we didn't get the territories. So the independents are our territories,
Right.
and like the old guys like Brody and Hanson, they kind of protected the territories. Like I've always looked at it like protecting the territories, because even when I was in Lucha Underground, I still had weeks where I did independence, and I never looked at it like, well, I'm just going to get through tonight because I have TV next week. I never looked at it like that, that was never my mindset or anything. So there was times when, yes, of course, I'm going to run across guys like that. But the one thing I will say is, when I did run across that and the guys were that way in the back, at least with me, because I would be like an independent guy, right? And let's say so-and-so from WWE just got released, like I worked Matt Hardy one time for that NEW up in like
Right.
upstate New York somewhere. And he knew who I was. We had known each other for a long time. Obviously, we're not friends or nothing like that, but he at least respected me enough to where when I asked him, hey, what should we do tonight? What would you like to do? What do you need me to do? His answer was, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, I'd like to heal up on you. I'm working on some stuff with my character that you can help me with. And he was all about like, yeah, let's do that. Yeah. And he goes, and then I'll do my little thing. The crowd will get hyped up for it, and he's just kind of like casually throwing in his stuff. That's the most over things of the night, which is funny to me. He's like, I'll do the second rope leg drop, do the little pointing thing, and those were the biggest pops of the night, to where I'm like in the ring, like, holy shit, like this is awesome. Like,
This
somebody
guy
that
pointing
knows,
at his head, and you got
yeah, somebody that knows how to do his gimmick right and is doing it is making my job that much easier. But I think that guys should work to elevate themselves. So when guys do have that bad attitude, as far as how they're looking at the big picture of the show, like, oh fuck, their heart beats a little bit faster when they see a guy like me warming up and I'm ready to go, and I'm like, you ready for this tonight? Like, with my eyes, and like, okay, you can say what you want to say about the show, but you're in the ring with me tonight. So like, you know, because I've had guys text me and call and, you know, weeks before wrestling me, like, oh man, I'm so pumped up, you know, blah, 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 blah. You know, when you build that reputation of being just a good wrestler, it's like guys want to wrestle you to test themselves, you know. A lot of guys were like that in Lucha Underground. Actually, a lot of the luchadors, a lot of the AAA guys, they would tell me, I can wrestle. I can wrestle. And I'm like, all right, good for you. Like, no, I want to wrestle you. And I'm like, all right, well, maybe we could do it on a dark or something. You know, we're not in a storyline. So, you know, yeah. I'm going to talk to them, you know. And it was like their way of like showing the locker room, like, I'm not afraid to wrestle Ricky Reyes, you know, as silly as that sounds, like, but they did that, you know, and I always took that as like, yeah, you know, like part of me was like, yeah, you're fucking right. Like, you know, you need to see if you can measure up. And then the other side of me was like, they didn't need to do that, but they made it known that I'm the wrestler of the locker room. Like, you know, and I felt like that was for years and years of hard work, you know, and never really taking a night off, you know. So guys nowadays need to focus more on doing what's right for wrestling. So we have wrestling in 10 years to still do this, you know, and that's what's important. Like everyone says, oh, you know, like I always put out there, like, what's more important, your business or the business? Well, we don't have our business if we don't have the business. So your focus always should be the bigger picture, you know?
And my final question of the evening: how many times during this last topic have you thought about the night that Greg the Hammer Valentine punched Jacob in the face? Because I've been thinking about it for about 5 minutes.
I try not to think about Jacob at all.
Do you remember the sounds it made when he just like side fisted Jacob in the side of the face?
I remember how more confused he looked after. Like that was a milestone.
Yeah. Remember when he hit Grop in the face with the chair?
Yes.
And they came back through the curtain and Grop's bleeding and he's like, man, you could have hurt me.
Yes. I remember.
Oh my God. All right. It's been almost an hour and a half. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Podfluxxx episode number 31. Rick, you have a lovely, lovely week. Let's watch some wrestling and we'll do it again next week.
Yep.
All righty. Later, motherfluxers.